Today we're so excited. We have our guest, Kelly. Miss Kelly has agreed to share with us what the topic of today is, which is introducing to you the beauty, the marvelous program of Alanon and Alateen. Alateen is a division of Alanon. And so we're going to be discussing about what it does, what it could do, what kind of help it offers, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to let Kelly introduce herself, what she does, and what she likes about the Alanon and all of that program.
Great. Thank you for inviting me, Miriam, today.
It's a pleasure.
Glad to have you. We're so glad to have you.
It's an honor.
The program of Alanon has brought me a lot of joy and hope in my life. Alanon is a program for family members and friends who are struggling with a loved one's drinking problem and addiction.
Correct.
It's a family disease. When there's somebody who's really struggling with alcoholism, it impacts the whole family systems around us. And in Alanon, we learn to focus on our own recovery and how we can recover from the effects of the chaos and the frustration that trying to help the people in our lives. Usually we're at a point when we come into the program that we've tried a lot of things to try to help the other person with their sobriety.
Crying, manipulation.
Begging,
Yes.
bringing lots of really good articles about how bad it is for them.
Arguments, and they're dying because they're not making better choices.
Hiding alcohol, throwing it away, dumping it down the
yes.
toilet.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And somehow we find that the people in our lives still manage to drink. They've managed to find or use. They have managed to find ways to fill that part in their soul that they are struggling with.
Correct.
And
So the manipulation does not work?
it doesn't work.
Oh my goodness.
I've learned through the program. And I think, at the time, I've been in the program regularly for about 5 years.
That's awesome.
But I was first introduced to the program 8 years before that when I was really depressed.
Uh-huh.
I was new in my marriage, about a year and a half, and I was
That's challenging.
challenging enough.
Yeah.
But seeing the behaviors around the drinking in the family that I had married into, and it was, I was watching it happen, and it wasn't something that I was familiar with, and I didn't know how to make it any better.
Right. But you tried.
But I tried.
You tried. You're earnest.
I tried, and I actually, I was suffering with my own mental health issues and sought help of a psychiatrist who, was helping me a lot, helped me with some medication, and as I revealed that I was struggling with the effects of the drinking behaviors in my family, he suggested Alanon.
Oh, wonderful.
And so that was really key for me, that the healthcare providers in my life were encouraging me to go. And that was sort of how I got my foot in the door.
And that is awesome. We want to also reach out to the professionals to tell them about this program. Most of them do not know about the program. And it is a wonderful help. I believe that from what I have learned is that this program, along with your own faith, it has the victory. It has a victory, okay?
So, am I getting this right? So, this program is not necessarily for people who's on alcohol, but family members who dealing with
Right.
the family member that's on the alcohol, right?
Exactly, because the
got it.
family member is the one that is impacted. The other one is happy doing the drug addiction and the dancing and the drinking and doesn't care a lot of the times.
And I can tell you, this is major then, because I talk with a lot of people being a pastor. This week, I have talked with mothers and wives who deal with and don't know how to, don't know how to deal with a husband that, drinks or
Chooses to, yes.
or kids that, indulge in and they want to pull them back.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, this is so needed and necessary. I had a talk today about a parent who actually dealing with a child that's has alcoholism. You know what I mean? So, this is great.
And the need for this program, it is so amazing. I mean, the need in the community, it is overwhelming because a lot of the families, most of the families are impacted by someone, a friend, a coworker, someone that you love, a lover, your wife, your husband, your child. And then attached to that, I have discovered that many people are stigmatized. They're ashamed. They don't want to share with most people what they're going through. They keep it on the inside.
Okay.
And when it is on the inside of the relative, it hurts them. Imagine the pain. I'm going to read a letter that one child wrote to the parent, okay?
Okay.
And it is an amazing quote.
Okay.
Because a lot of the times the adults, because of the addiction, okay, the brain has already been affected. There's no doubt about it, okay? The brain wants the drug. The brain wants the alcohol. And that's the only thing, unfortunately, that satisfies them at that time. Yeah. And I have discovered by talking to many people is that most of the people are self-medicating because there was an injury at one time.
Yep.
Because there is pain,
Yep.
because there is a deep wound that they cannot solve themselves.
Right.
Okay? And this program is based on the Alanon, the AA principles, the 12 steps. And I'm going to read a step that actually a couple of steps, but the first one, see, when one comes into this program, it is because of pain. It is because they cannot handle life. It is because they are beyond, they're overwhelmed. They don't know what to do. They have tried already a lot of things, okay? They have even tried going to church and praying fervently, in their faith, but that is not working because the person who is doing their drug addiction has not chosen yet to get better, okay? It is their decision to do what they're doing. But anyway, step one in the 12 steps says, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol or drug addiction, that our lives have become unmanageable. Okay? And number two, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Okay? 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. And in this program, I understand that it is a higher power that we're talking about, all right?
Right. And I think that's really key for my experience. When I came in initially, I didn't have a solid relationship with a higher power. I had had a lot of confusing messages about spirituality growing up, and I wasn't sure how I was going to incorporate that into my life. And I had to wait for things to kind of get worse in my life to really be on my knees to a point where I was willing to accept a higher power's help.
Right.
And, fast forward 8 years later, after doing my will and doing things the best way, more blaming, more cajoling, more hiding, more manipulating,
Right.
It wasn't working. And it was really just making me more resentful and more depressed.
Right.
And I was just at a point where I've got to find a better way to live. I can't keep living feeling like this.
And hiding.
And
And
now
pain.
and I went back to my primary care doctor and said, give me another pill because I can't live with this. I can't live with the way I'm feeling. And I was going to therapy. I was doing all these other right things that I should be doing for myself. And that physician also suggested I go back to Alanon, and I'm glad I listened that time.
Right.
So how were you feeling? Like, what can you describe some of your things you was dealing with?
Deep depression.
Because you don't know
The
how to solve the issue.
Feeling of hopelessness.
Because you cannot save your loved one.
I could not, there was nothing I could do. I just was
Right.
watching it get worse. And then I wasn't in charge of my own reactions. I was watching myself behave in ways, yelling at my kids, being not the person that
Frustrated.
I felt that God wanted me to be.
Yeah.
I understand.
And I can see that, when you're yelling at your kids and that's not you, and that could actually beat you down even more, and you're like, oh, I'm just a wreck, And so, yeah, I can definitely see that.
And I'll say when I first came, and so when I came back into the program, initially, I was completely wrapped up in, I need to get them sober.
Oh, yes.
If
yes.
they are sober, everything else in my life will be just fine. Just make them stop drinking. And I thought I was going to come to Al-Anon and they were going to tell me how to help him stop drinking.
Yeah.
I saw
Hey, that's so like us. We want everybody to get fixed.
You're going to tell me how to fix this, right?
So many people, they tell me, come into the program thinking that the program is about how to cure the person, how to fix the problem, but it has nothing to do with it. Eventually, it helps, because if you're well and you have the tools that this beautiful program offers, then you can do better things. You can respond better or choose not to respond.
And it's the family system. When I get better, the system gets better. And I remember working through some therapy and being so resentful about it. Like, why do I have to do all the hard work? Why do I have to keep going? And as I started,
someone has to pay the price.
You be telling the counselor, did you not hear me? He's the one drinking.
It's like, in marriage counseling, what? But I learned through this program that I'm worth it. I'm worth my own recovery.
Amen.
I'm worth being the best I can be, and I'm worth working on myself. And it's come by the nature of putting what was in my control with me and really turning things over to a higher power. And it took me, I still struggle one day at a time, day by day.
That's one of the slogans I hear.
But that's the miracle of the program. And the miracle is that I have a better life. And I'm the mom that I want to be. I still slip, and I forgive myself. God forgives me, and I keep moving on and do a little better each day.
You mean to tell me you're human too?
I am.
And not only that, but the legacy of a healed person can do wonders for the next generation.
Amen. The kids get to see it.
Yes. And I have found that when I read all of the literature, because it has beautiful literature, okay? And not only that, but it is written in English, it is written in Spanish, and it is written in French. So we can reach across the nations.
It really is a worldwide fellowship.
It is.
And that's the thing that's really amazing about the Al-Anon program. It's worldwide.
Now, how do people join? How do you get a part? How do you get to be a part of this? And the thing is that how would people know about you? How do they join, and how do they get to know? Because this is my first time hearing it, and I promise you, I've talked to many people that can probably benefit from this program.
So I think a first step, you can go to our website.
Yes.
All right.
For Utah, we have utah-alanon.org.
Correct.
And find a meeting, and you can click on that. There's different districts depending on which area of the state you live in. During COVID, a lot of the meetings moved to Zoom or online or virtual conference calls, and a lot of those meetings are starting to come back in person again. And so those meeting times do get updated. You can also visit the our worldwide fellowship, alanon.org, as well.
And find it in almost every country. See, that's the beauty of it, that this message is going to go across the nations, because there is pain across the nations. There's alcoholism and drug addiction in every nation. Also, look at this number 8, step number 8.
Okay.
See, I believe that this program is good for every person. You don't have to be an alcoholic or affected by alcoholism. It is a program for living. Listen to it. 8, made a list of all persons we have harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Number 9, may direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Number 10, continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Isn't it a wonderful way of living?
Amen. Amen.
If we all could
Yeah.
learn to do that,
Man, how much?
we could change the world. Yeah. So, and
so,
also
so
there,
how long is the program?
The program is
Life.
as long as you want it to be. It's, I think some people initially struggles like, well, what is this? And how long does it take? Like, okay, well, I've heard people share stories. I come in, 12 steps should be 12 weeks. I'll do a step a week and I'll be done with it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really work that way.
Okay.
Everybody's on their own path. We work with sponsors and in the fellowship and people helping each other learn how to recover through the program.
That's good.
Much like, similar to Alcoholics Anonymous, where it's people helping people recover from the effects of the disease. So.
correct. So basically, you go to the website,
Okay.
and then you find a place to meet that is closer to your home or work or school, whatever you are.
Right.
Okay? You choose the time, and you show up.
Do they have one in this area?
Oh, we have many. We have one on 26th Street, Alanon, and there's several meetings in there. And in that Alanon building, they have NA, Narcotics Anonymous, AA, Alcoholic Anonymous, and also Alanon meets there.
Okay, good stuff.
And there's also another one in Salt Lake City, near Salt Lake City area, that meets in Spanish 7 days a week. So you can be at home at 10 o'clock at night and decide to join any group around the world, or any group across the nation, or any group across the state. So
So
that's the beauty of the program.
So do you attend the one that's here in Ogden?
So I live in a different part of the state, so
Okay.
I attend in our District 3, which is the greater Salt Lake area.
Okay, I'm tracking.
But we're sort of carved out into districts to help with how we service. And that's another part of the program is we learn to recover and apply these steps into our lives, and we step into service and help either serve in the group level or at our district level or at our Utah area level. And that's another way that just brings more recovery into, certainly has been a way to bring more recovery into my life
Yes.
by serving others.
Amen.
See, when you
Amen.
share,
Talk about it. Y'all about to get me to preach in a minute.
Service to others.
Yeah.
when you share what is working for you and your family, I think there is a healing to it. And I think that your higher power also compensates you somehow.
Yeah.
Because you're doing good to the community. You're doing good to another person.
Yeah, it's funny how that work, and I'm gonna preach for a
Yes.
second because that's what I do. Last week,
Pastor.
last
Young
week,
here.
I told him about the man who God healed, the blind Bartimaeus.
Bartimaeus.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the thing is that when he healed him, the scripture says that he praised him. He said, but everybody else who saw it also praised him, right? And so it tends to be contagious. Once you receive your healing, it tends to trickle down to the people around you as well. So
Yes.
And I was really reluctant at first, and part of that's coming in from, I felt like I had just given so much of myself to everyone else and in this situation that wasn't helping and wasn't getting any better. And so I really was like, well, I don't have time. If I do that, then I'm just giving so much of myself away. But in this program, you sow the seeds and you watch them grow, and you watch
Correct.
people come in after you, and you watch them grow in the program, and it's just it's
So if I was to attend a meeting, is all the meetings pretty much the same, or what can I expect if I was to go to the meeting?
So there's different types of meetings. Some focus more on sharing. Some focus more on a lot of the literature that we publish. Some are structured like a speaker meeting, or maybe they'll have a speaker one time a month
Okay.
that, you know, shares a bit of their story. Or a lot of our meetings are structured where people share briefly about
Yeah.
how they're applying the steps into their lives and how they're finding recovery. And
It kind of confirms to the others that it works. You know what I mean? Look, guys, I'm doing this. Look, it works.
You
It
know,
works
and
if you work it.
Right,
Yep.
right, right.
It'll work if you work
yes.
it. I love it. Yeah.
And the important thing is that there is a platform for you where you're accepted, where you're loved, where you're not rejected, because they have the same problem that you're dealing with. So here's a group where you take your face, your mask, put it on the side, and share where your pain is. And someone will reach out to you, either just by being silent, or just by listening to you, or just by hearing you and bringing up some of the tools, some of the slogans that, you know, this program has. Believe me, it is gold weight, this program.
So, do you have to be dealing with this? Can I go?
there are meetings that are open to anyone to come and experience the meeting. You know, it's interesting because in my own self-discovery, I certainly could have qualified for Al-Anon even before I met the main person
Yes.
that pushed me through the door.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
just
You're
because
qualifier.
I'm my own qualifier. I'm my own, you know, some of the behaviors that I had, and you know, I didn't have the perfect family either growing up. There was
Correct.
plenty of issues there to complicate things. And there was also, I've discovered, a family tree of alcoholism that was hiding in pockets that I didn't know about. And that's given me a lot of insight just to look back and not stare, but information to keep moving forward and
Right.
understand that I qualify to be here because I'm worth my own recovery.
Right.
Amen.
And not only that, but also we're able to talk to the kids, you know,
Yeah.
about, because they see it. Let me tell you, kids see and suffer.
Yeah, and that's certainly a part of my story as well. Raising children, and you know, my oldest has had some experience with the Alanon program, because I was like, that's something I've had to learn too, because I was like, if I'm going to Alanon, you're going to Alanon, and they're kind of reluctant and do their own thing, but I've also learned that the recovery in my family helps my whole family.
Yes.
And they know where to go if
Right.
that's where they
Amen.
need to
Can
be.
you share with us about the recent Alanon camp?
Yeah,
that
so
took place? You told me about it?
yeah, another great thing that the Alanon program does every year is we have a camp. I also do some service with the Alatones as well, and
I hear.
we have this great camp over the weekend that brings all these kids together, and it is just really magical to watch these teens applying these principles in their lives.
Yes, yes.
And these tools to
Right.
live better.
The same tools, the same tools that the adults have, the kids are applying it into their lives. So they can be okay, in spite of the parents or the adults not doing what is right at home.
I mean, man, if I had these tools when I was 16.
I know, everybody resilient and
Yes.
everything.
Yeah.
And some of the stories that you hear, they're so painful. They are so devastating to the kids. I think that it is bad enough when you're an adult facing alcoholism and drug addiction by someone else. But I think it is even worse. I cannot even imagine the pain of the kids. you
And
know?
there's hope and resilience, which is
Right.
what I've observed in the Alatones is a lot of
Yes.
hope and resilience.
So these kids, this program works with, I hear, there are people who are certified. They do background checks on them,
Okay.
okay, to be able to be near the kids. And there are 2 adults in each meeting, and they hear.
That's good.
The kids run the program. The adults are there just to supervise, make sure that everything is safe and that everything is good. But it is an amazing program.
Wow.
Yes. Now, Kelly, you didn't mention about service. How are you involved in service? What are you doing now?
So service, I have a couple of little spots. Like the group that I call my home group. I'm the group's secretary, so I help keep the business meetings going, and
That's good.
and
I
that,
need one too.
you know.
Okay, I think we're gonna take it to one.
And then at the district level, I do public outreach as well to help,
Okay.
you know, in things like this. So
Absolutely, so-
forums like this, bringing it to the understanding of the program to healthcare professionals and others too.
Tell us about that. How do you do that for the healthcare professionals?
Well, it has been interesting this last year.
Oh, yes, COVID just
Thanks
killed a
to
lot of
COVID.
stuff.
But, you know, I think what it taught me, and I think taught us, is that there's other ways of doing things, and we were able to, you know, so many things moved to electronic platforms, and that actually became a great way to bring guests and, you know, bring to meetings with different healthcare organizations and mental health discussions about some of the other.
So is this program trying to
Community options.
educate physicians and the healthcare providers so that they know that this program exists?
Yeah, as a community resource.
Right.
You know, as a community resource.
And also there is an outreach for the schools. It would be lovely to have a program in each school. It would be lovely to have a program in each church, you know, to instruct the pastors what is available.
Yeah,
Because
I
the
can
tools
definitely
are amazing.
I can think about 3 people right now. I'm gonna recommend 3 families at least, you know.
Right.
So,
And remember, this program is, but there are also people who are in AA or NA that come to learn about the tools
I see
in
'em. I see 'em.
Al-Anon.
I see 'em,
Okay?
yeah.
But the Alcoholics Anonymous could go to their meetings, and some of them are open, some of them are only for, I mean, that anyone can visit. You will not be able to participate unless you are an alcoholic.
I got you.
Okay? And also, some of them are just for men. Some of them are, everyone is invited. So they determine, because they have the opportunity, the freedom to choose how the format is. And so AA, Alcoholic Anonymous, NA, narcotics, and also cocaine, and there's other divisions for, but it is all derived from the same spiritual program. See, it is not a religious program. It is not a political program. It is a spiritual program that works.
Yeah.
It's one purpose. and-
It makes
yeah.
sense.
Yep.
It makes sense. You don't want those things to hinder the healing that's going to take place. But they are acknowledging that there is a higher power
There's a higher power.
that is in
yes,
control.
that is needed.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
not, this
Yeah.
program doesn't work.
And that's up to that person with how they want to define that. But
Exactly.
and I get it, and I think it's great. You know, sometimes those things can hinder us because we'll get caught up on the fact
yes,
that
on religion,
if it's a Mormon thing or if
it's
it's
a
a Baptist
Christian
thing or a
or
Christian thing,
Catholic,
Catholic,
yes.
and we get nah.
this
They
program
trying to
is
push
open.
their beliefs on me,
Yes.
and that'll hinder the healing. I
Right.
get that. Yeah, I think that's important
It is.
that we don't bring the politics and all this. It's about you receiving what you need, you know what I mean, so you can be the best family that God has intended us to be.
Correct. And hopefully, you know, that you
Or
can
the
have
higher
under
power,
control.
yeah. Yeah.
That control, that takes control of this disease, okay? The disease is there, the physicians recognize it as a disease, but it's a disease that not only is carried by the alcoholic or the drug addict, but it also affects, reaches out to the family,
Oh, yeah.
okay? And society, because very soon that person who is not functioning well, who is drinking all the time, all of a sudden, you know, may lose a job. So now finances are in trouble, may lose a relationship. Now they're alone, they're abandoned.
And if let's tell the truth, you know, these kids are dealing with abuse.
Oh, yes, oh,
You
yes,
know,
the anger,
Yeah, stuff being taken.
right.
Why daddy take the PS4? And I'm laughing, but that's serious because
Right.
kids are affected by all these things, you know.
Decisions, yeah.
And if it's a child young enough, they don't know how to handle those. And I think you don't handle that, and they grow up, you know, just not realizing he has a disease.
And it is
Right.
dysfunctional. I mean, you know, now the family is totally dysfunctional because when you're in an addiction, you know, you don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, he's not even in the right mind. right.
They're not in the right mind. They're not even knowing what they're doing. They don't even know where they're waking up. I mean, it could be bad. Not only that, but they get sick.
Yeah,
And they could die.
And
Basically,
they still doing damage in the house, and we gonna need some help for that. And I promise you, that is a program, and I'm as a counselor, I'm telling you that is well needed, and I
Yes.
need all the information to this so I can push it.
Absolutely.
And if we can I start one here?
yeah, we can put it. Why not?
Yeah, we can.
What do I need to start one here? We can start one. They can meet here and everything.
Yes,
It
yes.
just requires a group of Alanon members to decide they want to start a group.
Yes,
So,
yes. So there's no requirements, everyone is invited, and yes, we can put it on the website of the church.
Yeah, I
Juniper
want to
training.
get all those speakers and teachers and
Oh,
that come and
yes.
give us guidance on
Right, right.
and literature and all that.
All their stories are wonderful, how they have found peace through the program, how the tools, how the slogans, like 1 day at a time. Sometimes it is 1 hour at a time, my friend. Sometimes it is 1 week at a time, sometimes it's 1 month at a time.
1 year.
1 year at a time,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
I
So,
think, there's a title of one of the books we have in our literature called Discovering Choices. And I think that really speaks to, I didn't think I had choices. I thought there was just one way of reacting and responding, or just reacting. I wasn't really responding to anything. It was just reactions. And that's really the key. When things are going around and swirling around in chaos, what do you do? What do I do next? What's the next step? What do I do? What's right? And, we have this program. It, guides me to understand my values and lean into what really is important to me, what my foundations are, how my higher power leads me. And then I can make those choices based on that. I'm not just a puppet anymore with the disease. I have choices, and those make the situation better.
Yeah.
not only that, but your self-image. See, when you're being at home with someone who's deceased and someone who's not caring about the words they choose, they're going to harm you. They're going to harm your mind, your soul, and now you think that you're worthless. You come to a program like this where you discover that the higher power cares for you.
Amen.
A higher power loves you.
Yes, it does.
A higher power is going to be there for you.
Won't he do it?
Yes, and that you're lovable, and that you're desirable,
Yeah.
and that you are worth it, as our friend
Yes,
here.
yes.
You
said
know,
it. You're worth
so all
it.
your
Yes.
steam, wait a minute, maybe I can do this, and go home and try that, and it doesn't work. You come back and say, well, I tried and it didn't work. Okay, give it time, or whatever, or maybe it was the wrong tactic at that particular time. You never approach someone who is high or who's drunk and try to explain things to them. It doesn't work. Or argue with them. It gets worse, So those are the things that you learn to do in this program, and it is wonderful. You mentioned about what the program looks like, and some of the things, I think that Kelly is going to read something in the literature, and also what happens, you come in, there is someone that is going to direct it, anyone can do it, reads the introduction of the program and what to expect, and anonymity is very important, and that's why we're not showing faces in this particular program, because we take care of that, okay? The program says a level of press, radio, TV, and film, okay? So anonymity is very important, which it makes it wonderful because anyone can attend,
Amen.
and they don't know who you are, where you live,
As it should be.
what you do.
Some things just got to happen. We just got to get in the room and close the door, you know what I mean?
Yes,
And deal with
yes.
some stuff, you know?
Deal with some life.
And we got to take off all those, our makeup, our eyelashes,
Absolutely, and cry.
and
if you
really
need to.
deal with this thing and to get to be about our healing because we're worth it, right?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
and it's not professional. We're not professionals. We're not experts. We're people who have lived in it and found ways to have a better life.
Yeah, real people.
Right. And then
Everyday people.
another thing that they share with me is that they choose a topic, okay? And so we're going to give probably some kind of example. And the topic will be about freedoms you have found in Alanon, because we are celebrating 4th of July, Independence, in the United States, and why not talk about freedom? So anyway, our friend Kelly will read some of the literature that she brought today.
Yeah, and this is from one of our books, From Survival to Recovery, that is filled with a lot of stories that are more focused on people who grew up in alcoholism, so adult children of alcoholics.
Yes, they're affected also.
And
Long-lasting effects too for life.
sometimes we refer to this section on page 267 as the Alanon Promises, and it doesn't say that anywhere, but it's just a nice, impactful, I think really talks about the freedoms that
Kelly
we
likes this
experience
part.
in this program. But though we will never be perfect, continued spiritual progress can reveal to us our enormous potential. Many of us discover what our fellow members already know, that we are both worthy of love and loving. We learn to love others without losing ourselves, and we accept love in return. Our sight, once clouded and distorted, can clear enough for us to perceive reality and recognize truth. Courage and fellowship replace fear. It becomes possible for us to risk failure and develop new, previously hidden talents. Our lives, no matter how battered and degraded, will offer hope to share with others. We begin to feel and know the vastness of our emotions without being slaves to them. Our secrets no longer have to bind us in shame. As we gain the ability to forgive ourselves, our families, and the world, our choices expand. It goes on, but I'll stop there. But that's the freedom and the expansion that
That is
we can
awesome. So anyway, the topic that perhaps we can talk about is freedom. And so because we're talking about Alanon, we can also talk about the freedom that one can find in the Alanon program. So Kelly.
Yeah, freedom is a good topic, and again, very true to my experience is that I didn't think I had freedom. I thought I had to do things in a certain way and behave in certain ways, and applying the program to my life has given me the freedom and shown me that others have the freedom to do their lives the way is right, the way that it's right for them.
Including doing drugs, correct, and alcoholism.
That may be part of
Their freedom,
and
their choice.
their story. And I also, I daily have to make sure that I'm not getting up on my self-righteous pedestal and telling everybody how it should be done. So I'm pretty good at that. So telling you telling how you should do it. And I've learned that doesn't help. It doesn't, and I get to apply that to all my affairs. In my parenting, it doesn't seem to work. So I've learned to be able to set those boundaries and set those guidelines.
Wait a minute, you mentioned something, setting boundaries?
Yeah.
Is that part of the program?
Boundaries are,
Oh, wow, that is a huge topic.
when we recognize our boundaries and recognize our values and where my boundaries are, and that's part of working the steps, working a fourth step, which is about uncovering my defects and also understanding my assets. When I have a better understanding of who I am and where my bright lines are, I can set boundaries that help me live a better life.
And also will help the other person, the one that is affected by alcoholism or drug addiction, because now they will know where not to stop.
Yeah, and where
where not to go across.
And boundaries are interesting because boundaries for me are about the boundaries that I put on myself. And I tried the ultimatums. I thought, I'm setting a boundary. I'm saying, if you don't shape up, ship out, those kinds of boundaries. And then I found, I can't really hold to that boundary because it requires somebody else's behavior. And the only boundaries I can really hold for myself are the ones that I can commit to and that are in line with what I'm able to do.
So it's a healthy kind of
Healthy
boundary.
boundaries.
Safety first, and safety for your children.
Yeah.
Yeah, one should never, ever, ever allow, anyone in any condition to hurt their children.
Right.
Children should be first, and that's the obligation of a parent, to protect the child, to protect their mind, the heart, the soul. the emotions. So anyway, but I disrupted you. You were talking about freedoms, okay, that you have found in Alanon.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think I've probably said what I need to say about it, and that's something I've learned in the program too, is to be able to kind of sum up what my experience is like, and to be able to share it, and then give it away. Let that
Right.
sink in for someone else to take what you like and leave the rest.
There you go. That is a very big saying.
We say spit out, take the meat and spit out the bones.
Right, because if you hear that for example, if your higher power is God, and that is something that you find offensive and you're not ready to accept, then you can leave that part and take part of what is needed at that time. Okay. And I know that the higher power will come in and show you the steps that you need to take. One of the freedoms also that I hear that it is wonderful, it is the freedom to forgive the person who has harmed you or has said things that they were totally inappropriate. Okay, the freedom to choose to forgive, the freedom to the freedom to forgive oneself for the dumb things that also, happens in life, and that we all humans do. And the freedom, this is amazing, the freedom to accept the decisions that the person who's doing alcoholism or drug addiction, that's their choice. Now, it is a very tough issue to accept something that your whole being is totally against, something that is even harming you, something that is even harming your children and your family members. But yet, we go back to Genesis, right? The freedom to choose.
Yes,
The free will.
I tell you this, I was talking with this one lady today, or yesterday, or whenever it was, and you're right. That was her main thing, is that at that point, she didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
She don't know it, and it's so much going on.
None of us know what to do.
She don't, and she, of course, she wants to control it. I mean, she wants him to, to stop. But and every time she tells me this, I want to say, and I did say this. I said, "Are you willing to accept that you got to change?"
Yes.
I'm just being honest. If we're going to, we got to accept the fact that that's their choice, and they're going to do what they want to do,
Exactly.
regardless. But if we're going to have peace, we're going to have to change how we look at it, because the way we looking at it now is only going to continue that same role, that ball that seems to get bigger the longer it goes on, right? And so, and I wanted to share with her that. And I wanted to say, he got it. He can do what he want to do. You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to control that, but you can't control you.
Yes.
So
you can change yourself.
Yeah, you can.
And that is, we cannot change anyone else in the world, our children, even our dogs, We cannot change anybody. But we do have the power to change ourselves.
And once you accept it, you're right. There's a freedom.
That's victory. That's freedom, right?
Once you accept, do you, boo? You know? and you learn how to get those nuggets and those tools on how to manage those things, even when they're doing what they're doing. That frees you. You don't understand how many times when we're little, somebody talk about you and it really hurts you. And you go home and you tell your mom, "Mama, they talked about me. They said I was this. They said I had a big nose and all this other stuff." And she says, "Baby, they gonna do that. Here's how you do it. You talk back about them. You talk back about them. You know what I mean?" Or she'll say, "Don't worry about that. You're beautiful."
Different tools, right?
Yeah, right. They give you all tools. You're like, but they give you whatever tools you need to make it. And they say, "You're beautiful. Don't worry about that." And then when you go back to school and they say, "Look at you with your big nose," and you go, "No, my mama said I was beautiful," right? And as life goes on, they never stop talking. You just learn how to deal with that, and it doesn't affect you like you did when you was little. And I think this is kind of the same boat, is that once you learn those tools and those nuggets and somebody tell you you're worth it, and you're not worthless, you are more than that, and you can do this, right? And once you hear that, you can go back and face that same thing, and then you'll hear that ring in your, or that word in your ear that says, no, you're worth it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you can.
And your
jump back.
higher power is the one working in this.
And,
you know.
and
It
it
is.
frees you. I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
absolutely.
it will free you. Like
Now you have faith. Now
Yeah.
now you have tools. Now you have something that you can do for yourself
Yeah.
and your
And
family.
certainly, like having the freedom to choose gratitude over resentment.
Yes.
Because I spent a lot of time in resentment, and the only person that seemed to hurt was
you.
me.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And
So-
when once that is a principle that is so important. If we start developing a gratitude attitude
Yeah.
daily,
Amen.
instead of focusing on the things that we're missing that are
Yeah.
bad, we can focus on the things that are good. And you know what? Very soon those things are going to be increasing.
You're right.
But if we put attention on the things that we're missing or the things that we want and we haven't gotten yet, guess what? They're not going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. And
As easily.
I tell you, when I lost my brother, suddenly.
Yeah, and that's a recent event,
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Just suddenly, recently, about 2 years ago, and I had a choice. I had a choice. I can be mad because, God, why did you take him?
Oh,
You know what I mean? And be mad. But instead, I chose gratitude. I said, Lord, I thank you for those 48 years that you allowed him to be here and be my brother, and he imparted so much on me while I was
He
here.
was also a pastor, right?
He was,
Yeah,
yeah.
an amazing guy. I
and
heard him once.
Yeah, he passed the ball to me, so now it's time for me to do what I've been taught, and it helps so much. It helps so much, opposed to just, if I sat in resentment, I would still be angry today. And everybody knows that if you carry that anger inside you, it creates all type of stuff. You know what I mean?
Eats you up.
Health issues and
Oh,
all this
yes,
other stuff.
mental
Yeah.
issues.
And no matter that, it start trickling down to your kids. Whether you want to try to say, I'm not going to put this on them or not, it's natural because you're carrying it and you start showing it. And so,
If you're angry, it's going to show.
yeah, and it's important. I think it's very
You know,
important that you choose gratitude, and I agree with that
Absolutely.
1,000%.
Yes.
Yeah, it frees you. Freedom is everything. I mean, let's just be honest about it. You know, there ain't nothing like being free. Just,
Yeah.
Yes, I have nothing.
So remember that in Alanon, you can go to the website and that you can discover the beauty of the program. You can get well. You can get wellness. You can help others.
Alanon.org.
Yay!
Click on Find a Meeting.
Right, find a meeting anywhere around the world
I'm going to find
in
one.
different languages. Yes, so it's amazing. So thank you, listeners, for spending some time with us. We were very honored to have Kelly today
Thank you, Kelly.
join us.
Thank you for inviting me. I always got a little more recovery today. So.
Kelly, you were encouraging to me. I promise you, you were like, man, your smile is amazing. For those who can't see, she has a wonderful smile. You can tell she really is free. And this is not a joke, so she is really about that life. So
And she really works the program, and she's part of the program, and she's giving into the program.
Amen.
See, that's the amazing thing.
And I think that's part of the healing
yes.
process too, to be able,
Absolutely.
and I think you said that earlier,
Yes.
part of the healing process is being able to help somebody else, right?
Unity, service, and recovery. Like, we come together, we recover together, and then we pass it on.
That's good stuff, yeah.
Yes.
Good.
So awesome. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
All right, God bless y'all. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. All right.